Hi friends, welcome to today's Active Self-Protection Extra lesson. On today's Sunday gear review, I realized I've never actually reviewed my carry gun, my P30 LEM Theseus. So today, I'm gonna talk to you about how I've got this gun set up, why I set it up this way, and give you some insight if you wanna get something similar done. Big Tech's Ordnance is my go-to source for accessories for all your defensive and competition firearms. They have great holsters with accessories for concealment and ship fast at great prices. I'm a proud customer and recommend them without hesitation. Mea culpa, of course, HK sends me guns and money. I am their brand ambassador, and for good reason. I will say that I carried an HK VP9 for about 3.5 years before I knew anybody at HK. Then we got to know one another, and they were like, hey John, we really love that you really love our guns. And I'm like, man, I love this VP9. And they're like, well, we would like to formalize that relationship and send you money and more firearms if you want to, try them and use them for students and check them out and help people. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And so, yes, HK sends me guns and money. So I guess you could say, is this an objective review? I don't know that any review would be objective at any level if these are my subjective opinions and why I carry this gun. I think if you followed me for any length of time, you will know that this gun is the gun that I use to protect my life and to defend my life every day. And so if I didn't believe in it 100%, I don't care what kind of money you would want to offer me, I wouldn't carry it. I also think that in carry guns, within some limits, at some point it becomes preference, right? There are some that are objectively inferior and some that are objectively at least quality and will work. And then when we get out of that tier, when we get out of the tier of guns that just don't work well and we know that they have problems, a lot of times you end up with preference issues, right? This is like, would you prefer to drive a Mustang or a Camaro? I mean, at some level, they're both good cars. It's just which one do you like better? And I know we're going to set off a comment war with that because the Mustang is cooler, right? But, in the same way, if you want to carry a P30 or a VP9, you want to carry a Glock 19 or a Sig Sauer P320 or, a 226. If you want to carry a CZ because you're a hipster, at some point it becomes a preference issue. And so I'm not saying if you don't carry this gun, you are, way behind and full of crap. This is just preference stuff. This guy started life as a P30 V1 LEM. That is the light LEM. Started that way at the factory as a stock gun that HK sent to me. You can see we have a barrel block in this one, but we're still going to be relatively cautious with it. Now, what do I like about that? I love the LEM trigger. I freaking love the LEM trigger once it's been adjusted a little bit. V1 is the light LEM, so it has a long first trigger press, but a very lightweight trigger press right to the wall. And then when you see there, you've got right to the wall, gets my hammer to the back. I get a nice crisp break, right about 5 pounds. It's tuned, I think, at 4.5 at the factory by Rick Holm at Lazy Wolf on this particular one. Then the gun resets, very short reset. See how little my trigger finger moves? Boom, there's that. Gun gets reset. That's all I had to move to reset the trigger. That's why I love a Lazy Wolf. I will tell you that if you get a LEM trigger stock from the factory, it has to come out about yay far in order to reset, maybe even a little bit farther. I'll show you one of those. I actually have my only other LEM trigger gun is back at Wright Armory getting some work done on it right now. So I'll show you that when I have one. But I love the base of the LEM because the LEM runs like a striker every single time. You load the gun full, right? So obviously this one's barrel blocked and you get that really a single action pull. So it's long, but it hits a wall very quickly and very positively if I needed a precision shot. Breaks very cleanly, gun resets, short reset, ready to go again. Every trigger press is the same. I don't have a long trigger press for my first trigger press. Well, I do have a long one, but I don't have a heavy one. That's why I got this guy. Now, I do have second strike capability as well. So the benefits of a hammer I have. Second strike, I'm able, if I got a click but no bang and I have a round in the chamber that I think maybe I just need to hit the primer again, I can do that. And so then I get a longer, heavier trigger press. It's not a discussion of the LEM in all of its details, but that's why I started with that as my base gun. But then, of course, I'm a dot guy, right? I love me some dots. And so I'll tell you, man, if you run a P30, there's not too many places that you can put a dot on a P30. There's some stuff with the striker, you know, because again, it's a hammer fired gun, but you've got, you know, all kinds of stuff right under the surface. Not a lot of meat on this gun underneath that. And so there's only a couple of places that I would even consider sending a P30 to, and the one that I do is Wright Armory in Mesa. So this gun went to Wright Armory. They put their plate on it, their proprietary milling plate on it, and that has an RMR footprint, which also fits this Holosun 507. They always do a good job for me. I love the guys at Wright Armory. They're not a sponsor of Active Self Protection, but they're certainly friends. I buy stuff from them from time to time. I get stuff from them. They do all my milling work for me. As far as the backup irons on this particular guy, has a set of Heine straight 8s on it. Nice and tall, so you can see them through the window if you were to have a dot die, but they're blacked out, completely blacked out. So you can see blacked out front, blacked out rear, because I don't want to see them. I don't want a high visibility front, so I don't want to be paying attention to my target and seeing my dot float. I don't want any more visual busy in front of me personally. And I know that's going to make people go, but wait a minute, what about? No, my backup irons are for emergency use. I've gotten into the worst day of my life and my dot has failed, which is a crazy day because I shoot often enough that this really, I should have seen this a long time ago. I'm not a guy that's shooting like, you know, 100 rounds a year. This particular gun I've been carrying for 2 years now. It has 34,000 rounds down the pipe, maybe about 35 now. I'd have to go back and look. I will say front sight on this particular guy, on both my P30s, in fact, it's a dovetail front sight. I have yeeted 2 front sights into the berm, both right about 14,000 rounds. And so that's why you can see if I can get it where you can see it there. You might be able to see that this guy's actually pinned. AJ Zito, the practical shooting guru himself, he pinned that for me because it keeps falling off and I ain't having that. Next, for the dot, I'm running a Holosun 507C in green in circle only. That's my particular choice. Why? Well, again, Holosun's not a sponsor of the channel or either channel, though we've talked to them at times and we're friendly with them. Great dot. I really love circle only. That's why I'm using this one. You see Neil uses a Trijicon SRO. I don't think that's a problem or a wrong. I think green, my eyes see green better. I think that's a visual thing for me and the way that I see, and I love the circle only. So Holosun 507C in green. I don't think the open emitter is a problem. Some people really want a closed emitter dot. I think there's plenty of those out there and it's not a problem either. But for a gun that you're gonna conceal, I don't consider that a problem. So the 507C green is me. Now, one last set of things that this gun had done is that you can see it is textured. This is not stippled. This is textured. I talked to Ben Simonson at Boresight about these guns, and man, the really good plastic surgeons, and I would consider Ben probably one of the best in America. They have a really hard time with the P30. It's made out of a very hard plastic and there's not a whole lot of meat there. And so what I had done instead is I actually gave this gun to Freddie Blish and his team at Robar. Unfortunately, Robar has since gone out of business, but this is actually the last completed gun that Robar ever did as a full custom build before they went out of business. I think I was the last person to pick up a full custom gun, though I'd have to check Freddie with that. And this is what they did. So they sent everything for NP3 coating. The NP3 coating is like a lubricious metal coating that they did all the internal parts on. So this gun actually handles not being lubed very, very well. They replaced the stock barrel with this threaded barrel. And a lot of people ask me about that. I actually didn't ask for that. I don't really care that it has a threaded barrel. I do have a 9mm can in ATF jail right now because I have this available, so I may as well do something with it for home defense. But for a carry gun, I don't think it's anything other than it kind of looks cool. I will say, if you're looking, let's see if we can get to see that in the light. You can see 35,000 rounds later, I have worn the NP3 off of the locking block on this just because of how tight this gun runs. So, I mean, I could get that redone, but I'm just gonna shoot the tar out of it again and it doesn't cause any function problems, so I've just left it. Freddie also had his guys do the texturing job. This texturing job, coming back to that, is not a stipple job. So this is basically like the texture that you would, like spray into a truck bed liner or, something like that. And then, but it's hand done, right? And the guy who was doing this for Freddie is still doing it as Robar texturing. So I'll put a link in the description if that's something that you're interested in. It's definitely not, it's a different kind of grippy than like a stipple job would be. I really enjoy it. I think it's great. It doesn't chew up my shirts too bad when I'm concealing it, but gives me good positive grip on the gun when I have a hold of it. When you put all that together, you have really a wonder blaster here. You have a gun here that, quite frankly, is unique. I've never seen anyone like it. Never seen anyone put together like that. And people have asked me, I've had a number of people ask me, John, why don't you start one of those with your company logo on it and then sell them or whatever? I don't want to be an FFL is the honest thing. There's some other reasons for that. We've talked about it with various companies. And so if you wanted to have a gun like this, you take a P30 LEM, you send it to Right Armory. Now Right Armory can do the optic cut with the custom plate on it, can do all the NP3 coating on the inside, send it over to the Robar guys. They will, he will do the texturing job for you. Put your dot on it with your sights of choice. I would recommend that the sights especially get put on by a gunsmith, and you can probably have that done at Right Armory. And you probably have this exact gun. In fact, I know Brian and his team are talking about selling completed guns with an optics cut on it, their plate on it, and all those things. So you might end up at some point seeing one that's put together somewhat exactly like this. I think it's not cheap. It's stupid expensive to put this gun together this way. I think that probably to get it exactly on this path that it is, you're probably talking a $2,000 to $2,500 gun. So it's certainly not cheap. I think it's, though, an incredibly good fighting gun. You have 17 rounds in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. It gives me 18 plus 1 of an excellent trigger, very shootable and good recoil control. I love the double recoil spring assembly in this. I think it makes the gun's recoil impulse quite manageable. And it just is a gun that I adore. I love the paddle magazine release on it. I love the trigger on this particular gun and how easy it is. I love the sighting system. I love the way it feels in my hand at the end of things because I put the large back strap, large side straps on it. Of course, with the P30, you can interchange to any number of different combinations. And then once I had the straps that I like, I had them texture that. So that's my particular gun. Obviously, you've seen me shoot others as well. I have Benvolio, which was my Gray Guns P30, which is my home defense gun. Maybe I'll do that one another day. It's very similar, can carry that gun as well. We have had John Talbot, my VP9, fantastic gun. And, oh gosh, the one thing that I didn't really say on this is that I sent this trigger to Rick Holm at Lazy Wolf. I think that there are two P30 trigger specialists that I would trust with a gun, Rick Holm at Lazy Wolf being one, and Bruce Gray at Gray Guns being the other. And man, I think that either way you go is right on that. I love what Rick has done because again, so that gun, it comes to the wall very quickly, breaks with almost no over travel, right at 4.5 pounds, and the reset is literally that short. That's all that moves in order to reset it. You notice, bang, watch how little the hammer moves. It doesn't. It literally moved like a 0.5 millimeter. And so I love it for that. So when it's time to run the gun quickly, you can run the gun quickly with a really easy to find trigger. When it's time for a precision shot, you find that wall, and that wall is very pronounced. It is absolutely easy to find. There is no mid-travel or grit in it. And at 34,000 rounds, that is how clean it breaks. And this is how clean it resets. I love it. So that's Theseus, my carry gun. And I love this gun in every capacity. And yeah, do I recommend you carry an HK? I mean, you carry a gun just in case, and shouldn't it be an HK just in case? And if you're gonna carry an HK, shouldn't you make it a badass HK? Budget notwithstanding? I think so. Hope it helps you.